Welcome to Uncover the Human, where every conversation revolves around enhancing all the connections in our lives.
Whether that's with our families, coworkers, or even ourselves.
When we can be our authentic selves, magic happens.
This is Christina Amigoni.
And this is Alex Colomore.
Let's dive in.
Welcome back to this episode of Uncover the Human. Today, Christina and I are joined by our guest, Amanda Gilchrist. Welcome to the podcast, Amanda.
Hi, thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Can't wait to jump in.
We're excited to have you. Tell us about yourself. What got you here?
It's so funny. People ask me to tell me about myself, and I'm like, oh, that's the worst question ever. I never want to answer that.
It is.
That's why we like starting that way. We really jump in.
Tell us what energizes you, Amanda. Let's change the question.
That's good. What energizes me? Honestly, I'd say just being, right? Just like being able to be present in the moment, like not wondering, not worrying, not pondering. It just energizes me to just not have to be doing something, like not feeling like I have to rush to the next thing or I have to get this done. So that's super energizing for me. And ironically, when I'm in those spaces, it's when I'm like the most creative and I want to do more things because I don't have to do more things, right? But yeah, so bit about me is I am a licensed, I like to say by training, a licensed therapist by training, because yes, I am a therapist by training. I've been doing consulting also for many years. And I'll always say when I went into the counseling profession, I knew that I wasn't one of the therapist who was going to be seeing like 40 clients a week. I was always in the like micro realm. I wanted to make big impact. And so for me, that looks like administration and clinical programs and all those other things, just different ways to help people. So for me, being a therapist is more about helping people rather than like I have to be in the clinical field. And so yes, licensed therapist by training, consultant, lover of people, lover of God. And I will also say that I tell people a lot, like I love people and I don't like people. And that doesn't mean that I don't like just like them, right? It's like I have a love for humankind. And so if I'm operating out of love, when I'm interacting with anyone, they're always going to get the best version of me. But if it's based on whether or not I like their mannerisms or, my own personal
choices.
Yes, right. Like any of those things. Like it just, yeah. I mean, sometimes I don't like me, to be honest. Like I'm like, why did you do that? It's not quite smart. But yeah. So I spent a lot of my career. I've been in public, I've been in private, I've been in nonprofit, I've been everywhere. I would have this running joke, like if you looked at my resume, you would think I didn't know what I wanted to do. And really, it's just that I wasn't afraid to let myself try all the different things. So that's me.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think a lot of people can probably relate to that idea of liking humankind, if not humans all the time, or all the individual humans. And it definitely makes sense. You kind of drew a line between the idea that there's kind of this clinical portion of it where you're helping lots of people or helping individual people versus some of that administrative and larger, let's try and create programs and make sure everything is supported. Both are, of course, necessary in the world. I'm curious what helped drive you one way or the other. What led you to thinking, is it that love of humans, but not humanity, but not humans?
Honestly, it was just that, I don't know. I knew from the beginning that I just felt like I was supposed to make a bigger impact, right? A more widespread impact. And I didn't know what that looked like. But I knew that I did love the one-on-one connection with people, and just helping them in that way. I always do find it an honor to be a part of people's journey. It's a huge feat to come in to a space and say like, I'm about to meet a complete stranger and I'm going to tell them all of the things about my inner world and my whole soul and the things I don't like about myself, and trust that like they're going to guide me in a way that's in my best interest. So I never, ever, ever take that lightly. And I feel like there's a part of me that loves to just have that type of connection. I also knew about me that I could not do that, um, like consistently, like
Hmm.
with the way that I connect with people. Okay, so I think all therapists, we're supposed to develop these amazing therapeutic relationships, and there's all this different language out there. And I will say, in order for a relationship to be a relationship, it has to be a two-way street. And
Yes.
for so long, there was this like dialogue that, oh, therapeutic relationship, but it was very like closed off. And so for me, I've just never, like, we're humans, we're made to connect. I
Hmm.
obviously am appropriate clinically, but the closed off feeling, it doesn't work. I found that
Yeah.
people really are helped when they feel seen, heard, understood, cared for, and that requires them to see a bit of you, right? They need to see you as a human rather than this authority figure. And so the level of energy that that
Hmm.
takes for me, I knew I could not do that. Like see so many people, like nowadays it's like a churn. They want you to see like
Oh
25,
yes.
35
Yeah.
clients a week in a 40-hour work week and then document and then case manage. And I'm like, that's a lot of emotional load. And so I
Yeah.
found that I'm naturally a pretty empathic person. I can
Hmm.
feel other people's feelings, energy really deeply. And that can be exhausting, right? Like it takes
Hmm.
a lot to hold space for people. So I think for me that was that line. Like I want to help as many people as possible, but like how can we help people in a lot of different ways? Because it's not just coming to therapy. It's the what's their
Hmm.
socioeconomic status like? What do they feel like at when they're at work? Do they feel like they're making an impact? What are they, experiencing at home? That doesn't allow them to do the work that they need to do. Like there's so many things that impact who we are as a human. So I want to impact the whole human, not just
Yes.
yes, the mental health portion is extremely important, but we're whole people. So yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, and the mental health portion, and we've talked about this offline, is it's much bigger than just the 1 hour a week. It's just bigger than the counseling session,
Oh,
especially since we spend so much time in a lot of other places. I mean, we spent the majority of the lucky ones get the 1 hour a week of counseling, but
yes,
everybody else is like like you still have the other however 24 times 7 hours every single
absolutely.
week of everything else impacting your well-being.
Absolutely. Which is why I would say to people, I'm like, yeah, anybody can go, even if like you have free services, because one, everybody can't afford therapy. Like, I mean, let's
Hmm.
just be honest. Some people are still like, oh, what is therapy? Why do I need to go?
Yeah.
And they think
Yeah.
they have to have a diagnosis. And I'm like, oh, no, we all have problems and we could all use some
Yeah.
objective, we could all use objective support and guidance.
Yeah.
Um, but it's just kind of one of those things where like even now the news I'm telling people like be very
Hmm.
conscientious about the things that you are taking in because there is a science to this. It's how our brain works, and our
Yes.
brain is meant to protect us, meaning it's always
Hmm.
collecting information and it's storing it, it's figuring out how to use it, and it's figuring out like, okay, if this thing happens, like if you go down
Yeah.
this road, then this is what's going to happen next. Now
Hmm.
that might not be the case, right?
Yeah.
But based on
Yeah.
what it knows right now, it's like, oh, that's dangerous. And so you look at the news and you hear all these sad stories, and then you look at the comparison of other people's lives and social media, and like,
Hmm.
and then you think about work, and you're like, I'm supposed to be fulfilled, I'm supposed to be happy, but I'm like exhausted, and I'm overperforming, and I'm burned out, and everything
Yes.
else in between. And I'm like, the 1 hour, and I mean the standard therapy hour is 45 minutes, okay?
Yes.
More times it goes maybe up to 60 minutes, but 60 minutes a week is not it's
Mhm.
not enough to like make everything in your life like brand spanking new. It takes a lot of intention. It takes a lot of like,
Yeah.
people leave and they're like, oh, I feel better. Like even after the first session, they're like, oh my goodness, this is great. I feel so much better. And I was like, remember, that is a state change and not a trait change, meaning like right
Oh
now
yes.
it's okay, but like
Yes.
a day or two
Yeah.
later, that good feeling might
Yeah.
fade. It might fade this evening when you interact
Yes.
with
Yeah.
someone. It may fade when you get
Yes.
home. But it takes a little bit longer for that trait change, and it takes a lot of intention outside of therapy to make that
Hmm.
happen. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I like being on vacation anyway. Even if you have the
Hmm.
4 days of vacation, you got like half day trying to get there, and another day
Yes.
trying to relax enough, and then you got another half day on the other
Yes.
end trying to get back to
Yes.
the world. I mean, you
Yes.
can take 60 minutes, but it's not all the 60 minutes, and
Yeah.
that's barely any time in
Yeah.
our 24/7 week. And
Yeah.
Yes.
it's wild what we expect from this while we continue to inundate ourselves with bad
Yeah.
news and push notifications and whatever else that we're being just flooded
Every
with externally on top of our
Yes.
work life
yes,
and everything else that's
Yeah.
I think I'm far from speaking for myself when I say like just our world right now, we're just overstimulated. Like I
Hmm.
found myself lately, like where I will just like sit in silence and light a
Hmm.
candle and just
Hmm.
be still,
Yeah.
nothing else.
Yeah.
I don't want to read anything. I don't want to consume anything.
Yeah.
I just want to just sit and that's
Yeah.
it. Nothing.
yeah.
For sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we rush to get all these devices that have all of these things on it, and I found myself recently ending up with things like a Kindle on top of my phone, even though I could read a Kindle on my phone because the Kindle doesn't have push notifications. I can't get any
Yes.
distraction. I
Hmm.
just have a book in front of me.
Yeah.
There's things like this
Yeah.
that are just. I'm now looking for other devices that are, help deliver whatever the value is without delivering
Yeah.
every push notification
Everything
in the
else.
world.
Yes.
Everything else. Because we
Yes.
think we want to be connected. Like, I'm just going to say I used to like not love Mac computers because I thought they were so complicated. And then I learned how to use one. I was like, oh my gosh, I have to have it. I didn't even love
Yes.
iPhones either. But I was like, but I should get an iPhone because then all my stuff is connected. And
Yeah.
now I'm like, I don't want to get my iMessages on my
Hmm.
computer. I don't want them popping up while I'm working.
Yeah.
I don't want like, so now I'm using all these like focus and work and sleep settings
Yes.
and like telling
Yes.
it to like, and even with my social media, like I put the time limit on it and it says, okay, like
Yeah.
I try down to do more than 15, 20 minutes a day. And then when it gets to 5 minutes, okay, you're 5 minutes away and, you need
Hmm.
to cut it
Yeah.
off. And it's got better. But I mean, just the amount of overstimulation in general, like we
Hmm.
think those things are pleasurable, but they actually cause a little bit more anxiety and they impact so much else, like our inability to sleep, our inability
Yes.
to remain attentive and be present in conversations. Like there's just endless impacts. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a through line in a lot of what you said is some of that need for intentionality in what you're doing. You knew that going into doing therapeutic work, there was only going to be to be able to preserve your energy. You were going to need to focus on the bigger impact you wanted to make anyway, as well as not the places that could be particularly draining. And we have a world where it asks for connection. It makes connection of all of our devices so
Yeah.
easy, and we have this huge intentional push to try and reduce that and be much more intentional about how are we actually going to spend our energy and where is this going to go. That's not an easy balance to strike.
oh no. I mean, often I would I believe in being very transparent, just as like where I am as a human
Hmm.
being. And I don't think we do anyone any favors by pretending like we have it all together. Although I used to straddle that line, I was like, "Oh, are you girl? You got
Hmm.
it together." And I gave everybody that look, and it wasn't helping them, and it wasn't helping me. And what
Hmm.
I realized was, in terms of just being transparent, even with people that I was working with, it was just so important for me to say, like, "Hey, yes, I am a therapist. And yes, I am trained in a lot of the ways that, we can communicate healthier, that we can engage in healthier habits. And still sometimes I'm going to choose to do the
Hmm.
opposite, right? Because I am also human.
Yes.
and
Yes.
and just to like I also believe in like just being having candor, right? So I know you've probably heard online, they've said it for several years, people will say choose violence. And so when I say things like that, it's like it's not that I'm actually choosing violence, but it's that, like, hey, I know the right things to do and still sometimes I choose violence, meaning I choose the harder
Hmm.
way or I choose
Hmm.
the
Yeah.
uninformed way. I just like you know what, I don't want to be the good person. Like, I don't want to be
Yeah.
responsible right now. I
Yes.
just want to
Yes.
be where I am, and that's it.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
That's
And
a
it's
very good
also
distinction.
super helpful, I think, to give people that candor because it gives that permission that like, hey, this is there's not like there can be a lot of pressure to feel like you have to do this perfectly if you're going to go engage in this work, try and do it well all the time. And now that you know what the right thing to do is, you have to choose that every single time, or like, why did you even learn this? And helping people understand that like, no, like that's just we're not perfect. We're not going to do it that way. That doesn't make things better. It actually makes it a lot easier for people to engage in the work when they realize, oh, this doesn't have to be a I score 100% or I don't get this at all.
Right. Which is why I have to give the caveat. I'm like, hey, like, I'm not your teacher. And like, this is not one of those instances. Like, if I give you, and I call it, I would call it self-investments. I would not call it homework, because whoever wanted to do homework, I never wanted to do homework. There's nothing motivating about
I like that. Self-investment.
yeah, so I was like,
It's a good
so
word.
here's your self-investment for the week. And, I was just like, if they come and they're like, oh my God, goodness, I didn't get a chance to do it. And I'm like, listen, you don't owe me an explanation for anything. I'm not here for an
Yeah.
explanation. I want you to know what got in the way. I want you to understand what
Yes.
got in the way.
Yeah.
Because if this is
Yeah.
your investment in yourself, then what prevented you from what was more important than this investment in you? Right. And so that's not a judgment. It's another point of like learning ourselves and learning like all the things that we unintentionally put ahead of the things that we need to take care of ourselves. Right.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I recently saw something that said that when we have something on our plate, whether it was something that other people are expecting of us or we expect of ourselves, and we don't do it, the bigger damage is not to the person that is expecting us to do it; it's to ourselves, because we can no longer trust that we're going to do what's best for us or what we said we were going to do. And rebuilding the trust of ourselves is a much bigger mountain to climb than the trust of others, who may totally be like, yeah, that's fine, you didn't have time, no problem. But for ourselves, especially if we're constantly doing that, we're constantly telling ourselves we can't trust ourselves.
The fact that you bring that up, one, I'm gonna say that most of the time, many people don't realize they're struggling with a lack of trust in themselves. Like, it's not just, and it's not uncommon. Like, I think sometimes people are like, how did I not know that? I mean, there's a lot of ways you didn't know that, right? Like, we're not set up to know that. We're set up to be distracted and consumed with everything around us. And that leaves less time for us to sit with like, what's happening for me? What do I need? What am I experiencing? And so that lack of self-trust is so important, because it also impacts your ability to trust other people. So not only yourself, right? But now you don't trust the people around you. And then more times than not, if you're not aware, you end up in this cycle of guilt and then shame and then condemnation. And then it just keeps going, right? It doesn't, you have to be the one, or you have to have an experience or something that brings you to awareness that says like, I'm in a cycle and I don't want to be in this cycle anymore. But that trust, it's so, I think, paramount to who we are and how we show up in the world. And I would ask, like, if anyone knew any of my clients, they could probably ask them, like, what's one thing Amanda asked you that you thought was really strange? Probably. And and most of them would probably say, like, okay, so I'm curious, like, who's been living with you for the longest? Your thoughts, your feelings, your need, like, who knows you like the absolute best? And you'd be surprised the answers I would get. And so I would also say, like, well, then who is the most qualified to know what you need for you? Because I was quickly trying to disqualify myself from being like this, you're looking for advice for me, because it's not my job, right? And my job isn't to give advice. It's to guide, it's to facilitate, it's to support, it's to help you to navigate, but it's never to advise you on what to do, because You are your own person. You have different needs, different goals, different values, different belief systems. And it doesn't matter if I like any of those things. It doesn't matter if I agree with them, because this isn't about what works for me. It's not about what works for your mom or your sister or your friends or your cousins. It's not about any of them. We don't care what they said, right? Like, we can take those things into consideration, but
Yes.
you are uniquely qualified because you know you better than anyone else.
Hmm.
And we just get caught up in all the different voices from that we take
Yes.
in from other people that we do trust and
Hmm.
that we believe care for us and they want the best for us, but
Hmm.
they're not us, right? And so
Hmm.
now that I've lost that trust because I can't make the distinction between my own voice and
Yes.
everything else that I've
Exactly.
been taking in. It's
Yes.
hard. It's not easy, right?
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm so glad you brought that to the forefront. Like, trust is just kind of trust and also forgiveness of yourself, like forgiving yourself
Yes.
for the mistakes you made or the things that didn't turn
Hmm.
out the way you hoped, or even the decisions, right? Like,
Hmm.
I used to get caught up in decisions like, oh my gosh, why did I do that? And I'm like, well,
Yeah.
you don't know what it's going to turn out like until it turns,
No.
until it
Exactly.
happens. And then, even then,
Yes.
guess what? We still have the ability to make another decision.
Yes. Most things can be repaired, or most things can be somewhat changed
Yeah,
in a different way. The story doesn't have to go in a certain directions, like you said at the beginning. Like just because this and this and this happen, you can still do something to change that direction if
absolutely.
you have the awareness and the conscious, and you make the conscious choice to say like, yes, that happened. I did this. No, it was not the best decision, or the best action, or the best way for me to show up. And what can I do about it? I
Yeah.
don't have to continue down this path. I
Mm-mm.
can actually do something about that.
Yes. And I think that's the thing. Like, sphere of influence, our sphere of influence is so necessary. Like, yes, I I was probably the poster child for I want to control everything around me. Okay. And that control was nothing but like a false sense of security. Well, if I had done this, then this could have happened. And that was my way
Hmm.
of like soothing, right? I was soothing myself and saying, well, it didn't have to be this way. Because if I would have done this, then
Hmm.
this would have been the outcome. Nah, most cases, probably not, right? Like,
Yeah.
probably 99.9% of the cases, probably not, right? And even still, I take on that responsibility not because it belongs to me, but because it helps me feel safe, right? Because
Hmm.
if I can take
Hmm.
that on, that means I have the ability to change it. I have the ability to impact it. And that just makes me feel all warm and fuzzy temporarily. um, but it was like I realized, okay, in order to gain control, you have to relinquish it, right? In order to have it, you have to
Hmm.
relinquish it. And I was like, I don't like these kind of feelings. It's like, I was like, I don't know how I'm supposed to live by this. Like, how practically? And like, what it really looks like it was that I'm realizing like, whatever I can't control, so be it. But there are things
Hmm.
that I can influence. And so, how do I
Hmm.
use my influence, right? My sphere of
Yeah.
influence. What do I have the ability to change or impact?
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Still working on
It's,
that too. Like, every now and then, I
it's
want to
probably
snatch it,
lifelong.
I want to snatch it back and be like, let me do it. Let me. You
Yes, indeed.
I think so much of that goes back to the trust in yourself and being able to trust, what you can control, trust what your decision on what you can control, even if you can't do it right now, or trusting that, hey, if something goes off the rails or the decision I make feels like it went to the wrong outcome, what do I do next? And that trust that I will just make the next choice and another choice, and trust that I made the decision I could at the time, even if now I can look back and be like, oh, damn, that one really took a left turn on me. Like, there's so much trust that we have to build with ourselves, and that takes so long because of exactly what you're talking about, the voices that you end up installed in your head
Hmm.
that you may have even truly had good intentions for you. Some of them may be less, but some of them truly had good intentions for you,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
still couldn't deliver the actual trust for yourself that will actually help you.
Yeah. And I had this huge revelation, which wasn't really a revelation. It was just like okay, now I'm accepting this as truth, is that everybody can make the best decision in hindsight.
Oh,
More now. Like
yeah.
everybody,
Yes.
like 100%, we can make a better
Yeah.
decision in hindsight. Like, of course, right?
Yes.
And so it's like we're constantly judging ourselves or rating ourselves on
Mm-hmm.
the places that we were in our lives, right? Like, I'm not giving myself credit for what I knew then, or the mindset I was in,
Mm-hmm.
or the resources that I had, or I don't know if that decision honestly would have been different if I would have been in the same circumstances without the knowledge that I have now. And so
Yeah.
it's like expecting, everybody says like, oh, I need to give 100% of myself. And I'm like, okay. And so how do you give 100% of 60? Because if you are here today and you only have 60, how do you squeeze
Mm-hmm.
100 out of 60? Right. And
Mm-hmm.
so what our 100% looks like on a day to day, like 100% today might look like the 60% that I do have, right? Like I'm giving that.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yes.
but like, we're constantly saying like, oh, every day I need to give this, like this
Mm-hmm.
amount. And if it doesn't meet this mark, and if it doesn't look like this, then I didn't do my best. No,
Mm-hmm.
there is a such thing as like a best for today, a best for the moment, a best for like this very instance
Mm-hmm.
in life, right? Where I am right now. But that like best, it looks like one thing, is a trap that I got caught up in a
Yeah.
lot.
Well, and it's usually externally determined. So it's
Mhm,
all this like surface stuff.
mhm,
I had a conversation with a friend over the weekend, and we were talking about being a good mom. And so we're like, okay, let's break down what being a good mom is. And a lot of the answers, the initial answers that come out when saying like, okay, define a good mom, it's all external stuff. It's organizing the best, after soccer, event for the whole team, or it's about, how the kids dress, or it's about the perfect vacation. It's like none of that is internal. It's all external, and not only, but it's not even objectively judged because
mhm,
everybody's definition of providing these things is going to be completely different.
mhm,
Like the best team event after the soccer game is going to be different. My opinion of a best team event is going to be different from the next mom or the next parent next to me. So, what is internally does it actually mean to be a good mom?
mhm.
That has nothing to do with completely subjective external surface stuff.
Mm-mm. Not not in the slightest. And I will say, as someone who spent a lot of time sitting in front of people, and I did actually spend some time working with children, it's really about attachment. Like it comes back to attachment.
Mm-hmm.
I used to do so much
Yes.
attachment work with people, and it wasn't about having the best things. Your parents, they could have, I'll say, like, especially even in my mom's generation and some of mine, it was like, do you have a roof over your head, clothes on your back? Are you being fed?
Yes.
Like, all of those things were like, again, like this means good parent, good mom.
Yes.
And really
Yeah.
what it was attunement, right? It's what is your child
Mm-hmm.
experiencing? Like, do
Yes.
they believe that you hear them, that you
Mm-hmm.
value them, that you understand, or
Yeah.
that you're trying to understand? Do they feel like your response matches the needs that they're trying to
Yes.
elicit from you at that time, right?
Yes.
It's I if we had to boil it down to anything, it's presence, right? Like
Yes. It is
that's
presence.
what it's presence, right? What does
Mm-hmm.
my child, what does my friend, what does my spouse, what do they need from me in this
Yeah.
moment? What are they asking me for? Even if they
Yeah.
can't always put words to it, right? And I'm not saying go out here
Yeah.
and try to read minds, because none of us were equipped to do that. But it is sometimes just sitting, right? And
Yes.
saying, I'm here if you need
Mm-hmm.
me, or if you want to talk, or
Yeah.
you need space, I'm okay to give you that. And I'm still here when you're
Mm-hmm.
ready, right?
Yeah.
It's just the connectedness. And
Mm-hmm.
I too was like, oh, yes, I'm going to be the mom who has all the things. I'm going to do all the things.
Yes. Yeah.
And no, I want to know, like, does my kid know how to like name proper feeling words? Like,
Mm-hmm.
can they
Yeah.
articulate what
Yes.
they're feeling in this moment? Like, now those are like the wins for me. And it's so funny
Hmm.
when you said define, and I'm like, there are probably so many people who would quickly be like, I don't know if we could just have normal conversation because I'm like,
Hmm.
they'll ask me a question. I'm like, well, define, because I believe normal is overrated. So I'm like, well, define normal because what does normal mean to you?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
if you come and I ask you, I said, hey, how are you doing? Especially if we're just sitting in depth in conversation, and they'll say good, and I'm like, okay, what does that mean? What does good mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
describe it for me. Like, what's
yes.
happening when things are good? Because we just tend to let words mean this like big broad thing, but we
Yeah.
all have a different big broad definition based on our experiences or the
Hmm.
way we grew up. Like normal for me is not necessarily normal for someone else, right? It's about my experiences. And
Hmm.
let's just talk about like cities. Okay, I grew up in like a very small town called Enterprise, Alabama. The only way people know it is because of either the boll weevil or the school was actually the high school was destroyed by a tornado back in 2001. George
Oh,
Bush
wow.
went and was there at the campus, and or there's an aviation army base that's nearby. Like that's really the only way people know that little small town.
Hmm.
And it at the same time, right? Like what you do know is I grew up in that area, and even if you don't know a lot about that very small town, you could probably assume that normal for me there is different from someone who grew up in Chicago.
Yes.
Like, there,
Probably a good assumption.
Slightly different. Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yes.
just a smidge, like not much.
Just subtle
Yes.
differences. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
On a surface level, like you don't even have to know both places really well, but you could just think
No.
like your mind
Yes.
goes all these places, right? Normal for me and normal for someone else looks completely
Yeah.
different. So who am I to like? I'm always asking those probing questions. They're like, "Oh, you're doing this therapist thing," and I'm like, "No, it's really not a therapist thing. It's that like things mean something different to all of
Yes.
us." And so I want to make
Yes.
sure that if you're asking me a question or I'm asking you the question, that we're at the same baseline. Okay, I want to make sure
Yes. That's
we're
the
having the
thing.
same conversation here.
Yes.
But yeah,
And there's definitely the giant differences and the easier like yeah, you can point out like Chicago and Enterprise are very different experiences, and yet even within like two people that are raised within Enterprise, even if you can
Hmm.
understand some of the dynamics of the town or you could both articulate them similarly, your relation to that is going to be entirely different. What you
hmm
believe is normal or good or not good or you're great or not great about any of those is going to be entirely individually based, and having space for
yes,
that for yourself as much as for other people is not
yes.
an easy task,
Oh no.
but a very important one if we're going to understand and connect both to other people and to each other
Hmm.
ourselves.
Yes, like so true. And it just highlights like there's just so many intricacies. I love saying like we are the most simple and complex creatures.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
very simple but also complex. Like
Yeah.
what we could be in the exact same space watching the exact same movie or
Hmm.
concert and still walk away with different experiences, although nothing changed about the show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, we're
Yes.
all just kind of living in our own worlds. We're the star of our
Hmm.
own reality show, the unscripted version.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah. Well, and it's fascinating because we do have very completely different experiences at all the time, very different perspective, and it is one of the biggest gaps is not pausing to make sure like are we having the same or at least similar. We're not going to have the same, but are we at least on the same plane of understanding and experience and communication right now? Because most of the times we don't even pause to do that. We just assume that somebody else's understanding is the same as ours, and so we can continue to like, okay, these are the action steps, and let's do this and this and this, and we
hmm
don't even know we're in completely different universes
yeah.
of understanding. And then when we have this glimpse of, I just read an article this morning about, the importance of bids of connections and responding to bids of connections, no matter how small they are. And I think part of the response, it's finding that even like minuscule like validation. I'm like, oh wait, that person's experiences are validating that we may be somewhere in the similar plane of that. And
Yes.
so I was like, I'm not alone in this reality. Somebody else is seeing at least a tiny little bit of the same reality in the same way. It doesn't have to
Yes.
be 100%, but it's those almost like little pieces that come in that make us feel seen because of like, oh, I'm not alone.
Because, I mean, get this, right? I mean, the world's way more interconnected than it's ever been. And I would hear my grandma say, like, oh my gosh, the world is just falling apart. And I was like, I don't think it's falling apart
Yes.
as much as it already was, except for there just wasn't
Yes.
all these news outlets that you could
You
have
just
all the
didn't see it.
You just didn't know it. You were
You
just
just
kind of
didn't know it was
just in
always
your
falling
own little
apart.
sphere, right? You didn't know what was happening across the country. Like all this
Yeah.
information wasn't as accessible. And so it's just like recognizing that we're in such a different space. Like, yes, we have access to so much information and there's so many ways to connect people. And I can't even tell you now, I've lost count of the amount of people that I've met that I've never seen in person before, but we were still able to like really connect, right? But then you have social media and people can feel very connected to you and have never met you. But we're also the most disconnected we've ever been.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm like, man, like even yesterday, so very small short story. When I was really young in elementary school, I was playing softball and I got hit in the mouth. Like, don't even know how it happened. It was like very traumatizing. And after that, like, I was like, no, no thanks. Well, interesting enough, I ended up marrying my husband. He loves baseball. And had he continued doing it, he probably at least would have been minor leagues. I told him, I was like, he could have been major if he wanted to. But he still does like, intramural, like adult, like softball and stuff like that. And I was just like, no thanks. And I used to just think it was so boring. And it's funny because I love it now. And so yesterday, for the first time in my adulthood, I went to the batting cage with him and I actually hit softballs. And you probably would look at me crazy with the amount of like excitement and like confidence and just like this like energy that I walked away with. Like, was I amazing? No. But like I did this thing and it
Mm-hmm.
didn't require me to be connected. Like I hadn't felt that kind of excitement in quite a while. And it's not because I'm about to go start playing intramural softball or anything, but it's just the being able to disconnect and my husband, taught me something that I was like, no, I'm not worried about that. I don't need to know how to do that. But it was just that I could and I wasn't attached to a phone to do it and I didn't have to tell the whole world about it. Now it probably will show up in a story later. There's a story in
Yeah.
everything, right? There's a
Yes.
there's a there's a life like lesson in everything. But just those small moments of like and coming back home, I saw a kid outside with a basketball. I'm like, man, a kid outside with a basketball. And it just made me
Yeah.
think of like all the simpler times of being
Yes.
outside, playing basketball. Like, I used to cook in the dirt with a little stick, like grandma's yard,
Yep.
like go pull different plants and pretend like I was making
Yeah.
greens or something. Anywho,
Yeah.
I mean, just like the simple, disconnected but connected things that we used to be able to do
Yes.
that just allowed you to enjoy life, period, right? That
Yeah.
wasn't connected to a device. So, yeah,
Yeah.
little things.
Yeah, I remember watching it. Ironically, I was on Instagram at the time, but I was watching a comedian on Instagram talking about how when he was growing up, there was no such concept as mindful because nobody had a cell phone. So every moment you were just, sitting or waiting for a
Yeah.
bus or just like whatever was
Yeah.
happening in life, there was no other distraction. So you all had just mindful moments at whatever times, just because that's what was available instead of having the ability to instantly flip open a phone and go on the internet
Yeah.
or do whatever else to just distract and be away. And so there
Yeah.
were 1,000 other moments just for a chance for ourselves to be attuned, understand what we're doing, understand what we care about and what we want to do. And those don't those are harder to come by without significant intentionality now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
so much harder to come, like so much harder to come by. There's just not a moment where, especially if your phone is not on silent, like my family and my friends at this point, um, they have my husband's phone number because they know if they can't get to me from my phone,
Yeah.
they're gonna have to call. Like my dad doesn't even really call my phone. He calls my husband. He's like,
Yeah.
"Hey, I'm just checking in to see how my start,"
Yes.
because I will leave it in another room somewhere else.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like if I
Yep.
can completely disconnect from it, I will be in my own little world and I will pretend like it does not exist. And it worked for
Yes.
me.
Yeah. 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 My phone is permanently on silence, and then when I put it on Do Not Disturb, I always forget to take it off of Do Not Disturb. So it's just
Yeah.
the
I don't even,
emergency people can get through. Other than that, I don't know what's going on.
right. Like, I don't even know what a ringtone sounds like anymore. I mean, unless I hear
Oh
someone
yeah,
else's
I don't either.
ringtone, but
I
on
haven't
my
heard.
own phone, no. Because it's
Yeah.
like, didn't you ever have your ringtone, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, why? I don't want to hear that. I
Yeah.
don't want to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't need it. Um, and the people who need to get me,
Yeah.
they know how to get to me. So, and
Mm-hmm.
that's probably why I have an Apple Watch now. He's like, at least if I call her, her wrist will vibrate, and
Yeah.
then,
Yeah.
and that's about it. Yeah, other than that,
Yes. Yeah.
no.
Yeah. Indeed. Mm-hmm.
Oh goodness.
Yeah. So, what do you see at the macro level? So, you talk about one-on-one counseling at the macro level. What would you like to see change, improve?
Ooh, okay.
What
Um,
investments are needed there?
I would definitely say, like for years, I said I used to do public and private, but for years I used to be in state government, and funding was always a huge thing. But honestly, you know, I was short-sighted then, right? Like, and not necessarily in a bad way, but it was like we're the mental health agency, and so there's a responsibility that we have. And so if we create the funding, if we develop all these programs, then we can make the impact. And really, the impact is also helping others to make impact, like employers. So employers actually have a much greater impact on our mental health, like our job. Okay, meaning our managers, direct line CEOs have a much greater impact on our mental health than going to therapy for 45 or 60 minutes a week. We spend so much time there, right? It has a lot of impact on how we show up at home and how we're interacting with our
Mm-hmm.
families. I can
Yes.
recall instances where
Mm-hmm.
when I was working at the mental health agency, ironically, I was traveling all over the state and helping develop this mobile crisis program. And, I would smile and like have a million interactions throughout the day that I felt like were frustrating and barriers and things that just were like, felt like they were pushing me 10 steps back. I'm like, you told me to do this. And then it's like, I'm not supposed to do it. I don't know. What do you want me to do? Right. And so I would keep it all together because, we have to get things done. And, you gotta maintain professionalism. But when I got home, anybody could ask me one question and it could be a very simple question. And it was like I would just explode. And it had nothing to do with them or their question.
Yeah.
It's like, well, what do you want for dinner? What do you mean what I want for dinner? I've been gone all day. I've traveled to the road. Like I had to commute back home. Like
Yeah.
this person said we could do this. It had nothing to
Yeah.
do with the question. The question itself was not a bad question. It wasn't the tone. It wasn't the approach. It
Mm-hmm.
was just that I was carrying so much in my work environment, like from the place that I was spending more time, that it was like just bleeding into everything else. Right. And
Mm-hmm.
so my life was being controlled by work, and work was the thing I needed to do to make sure that we had a life. Right. Like, and I was
Mm-hmm.
like, how do you even do this? Like, imagine me, right? In government, a therapist. And I'm like, how do you work so that you can have a life, but the work starts dictating your life.
Mm-hmm.
And now you don't have either of the things that, like nothing
Mm-hmm.
feels aligned. Everything is off kilter. And so I say, like, if anything, like, so much of what we experience from a mental health stance comes from all the different ways we're engaging. One of the biggest, though, is work, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
you can't get away from that. So I'm like, now today my answer is different. Before I would say, oh, more funding so we can have more programs. And now I'm like, no, let's figure out how we as a human collective, like humankind, can just help make the work environments better, right? The places where we're all having to spend so much time. Why does it have to be such a big source of like stress or mental disparagement or burnout or ailment and everything else in between? And it's because we're trying to like do and meet all these outcomes. And I'm like, okay, well, who came up with the outcomes and who said it has to be about,
Exactly.
like we have
Yes.
so much more control, so much more
Yes.
power,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
but we're just like yielding it because we got to get these things done. And I'm like, said who? Like who? Like, because
Another human
right.
who probably didn't sleep last night and had bad food, and I was making this decision that everybody's just marching on and bringing home in their frustration.
Chances are you can
Yes.
usually track that back to a human who
Yes.
is also in a space where they're trying to chase the next milestone for their fulfillment and
Yes.
happiness.
Yes.
And it's not
Yes.
in the milestone, it's in like how
No.
navigating the journey. And so
Yeah.
it all just comes, for me, it's just so simple. It comes down to people. If you're chasing the next destination, the next milestone, the next
Mm-hmm.
outcome, you won't get to a place where you
Mm-mm.
feel fulfilled.
No,
Right.
you won't.
And even when you get to the milestone, I think if most people took the time to realize like it doesn't feel as great, you don't really celebrate
Mm-mm.
it that much. Like it's like,
No.
and now,
Yeah.
so I think there's even, I heard someone say this lately that I think they were talking about Michael Phelps, and
Mm.
for as many like this man is so decorated and yet and still felt the most like disparaged, depressed, unaccomplished
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah.
of having hit all of those milestones because it was about the next thing, right? Like the
Yes.
person who wins is the person who usually ends up being depressed.
Yes.
The second and third place, they still are striving towards something. There's still a
Mm-hmm.
journey for
Mm-hmm.
them. And when we kind of keep treating life like it's a destination and not a journey, you don't ever get there.
Yeah.
Right? Like, yeah.
And we treat business like it's a destination, not a journey. It's
Yes.
always about, yeah, the next goal, the next milestone, the next quarterly sales report, the next whatever revenue goal.
Yes.
It's just like, and then you get there, like you said, and like, oh, well, okay, next one. I'm like, figure out what the void is and stop making people's lives miserable because you can't figure out what your own void is.
Right. I'm like, I would tell, so for a little while, I did work with couples, and I'd be like, if you really want to help your relationship, do self work, right? Like, focus
Mm-hmm.
on yourself, take
Yes.
care of you, invest in you. Like, if you want to know how you can help make your relationship better, work on making yourself better. And not the comparison checking box version, but the how can I be, who do I want to be, and how can I get one step
Mm-hmm.
closer to that? Or how can I be a better
Yeah.
version of myself today than I was
Mm-hmm.
yesterday? It's not competing with who looks like they're the great, because everybody can look like a great spouse on the surface. And just the way that
Yes.
people, like my husband, what's it like being married to a therapist? And I mean, I will say there's different seasons in our marriage where he would have said different things. In the beginning, he thought I was just trying to psychoanalyze him all the time. And I was like, no, because I actually don't want to do that. It's a lot of work. And it's like, it's too messy. Okay, we're too close to each other for me to do that. And
Yes.
and now he's just like, it can be great if you allow it to be. And I wouldn't even really say that it's because I'm a therapist. It's just because I've spent so much time not only sitting with my own feelings, but sitting with other people's feelings and
Yeah.
empathizing and connecting and seeing them and having understanding, even for things that I don't necessarily think I would ever do or agree to, but I
Hmm.
still can understand how they got there, or I still
Hmm.
can empathize with the place that they're in. And I think that just puts you in a different position relationally to people.
Hmm.
So it's like, I don't think that really has anything to do with being a therapist. I think it just has everything to do with, like, could we all like learn how to be a little bit more empathetic, and could we all learn how
Yes.
to like, just not even walk. We don't need to walk a mile in someone else's shoes. Like, let's just like look through their lens. Like, let's try to
Hmm.
see what it looks like in embedded in the circumstances that they are, right?
Yeah.
And that's it for me. Like, I try to keep
Yeah.
it that simple because I mean, I'm still trying to grow. We're all still trying to grow, and
Hmm.
I will quickly tell anyone who's going to see a therapist, I'm like, does your therapist have a therapist? If not,
Hmm.
like, and it doesn't mean they have to be in therapy all the
Yes.
time, right? It
Yes.
means they have to be in therapy all the time.
Yeah.
It means like they
Yeah.
need to also have like things
Yes.
that they believe in. Like, are they practicing
Yeah.
too? Do they
Yeah.
invest in themselves? Because
Hmm. Yeah.
some people would frown upon it, but if I didn't have the emotional depth, or if I wasn't in the headspace to see a client and be fully present with them, then I would cancel the session because I'm
Hmm.
not doing them any good and I'm not doing
Hmm.
myself any good. And so if I am there really for them, then I need to be able to give the best version of that.
Hmm.
And just showing up half, like, I mean, one, let's just say insurance or not, therapy is not cheap. And also, too,
Hmm.
like, people are sitting to share their entire world with you.
Yes.
What
Yeah.
does it say about my level of respect for that if I'm
Hmm.
just showing up like all over the place, right? Like,
Yeah.
not present.
Yeah. Indeed.
Yeah. And excuse my
I
low.
like that.
No.
Happens. I
Yes.
like that what you said about needing that presence being so important, and you mentioned it when you're talking about good parenting and stuff. It's trying
Hmm.
that attunement and trying to be attuned. And I think one thing that people sometimes get caught up on is like, well, I'll never be able to understand everything that's going on in the world, and that's not the
Hmm.
point. The point is the
Yeah.
intention. The point is the
Hmm.
presence. The point is that
Yeah.
like, people will feel that intention, and they will understand when you make a mistake. We're gonna step in it. We're gonna misinterpret things from
Hmm.
other people sometimes,
Yeah.
but if we can trust that that intention is trying to be in the right place and trying to do better next time and trying to understand
Hmm.
what we have to say when it has to be corrected, it's so much more powerful than getting it right. We're never going to get it right. We'll just
Yeah.
work to be in a space to show that we are continuing to try to get it right.
Mm-hmm. And, and I love the point that you brought, right? Like, that you don't necessarily have to understand. You're not always going to understand. And that's the thing. I
No.
think so many times we've attached understanding with like permission or acceptance or
Hmm.
validation. And really, understanding is not a requirement for any of those things, right?
No.
I don't have to agree with you or understand to love you,
Hmm.
to trust you, to empathize with you, to be present with you, to care for you, to be patient with. Like, understanding is
Yeah.
not required for any of
Yeah.
those things, right?
Yes. To believe you.
Exactly. Like, I can
Yeah.
believe you. I can
Yeah.
believe that
Yes.
in this moment, this is the choice that you feel like you had to
Yes.
make. Like,
Yeah.
I can believe all of those things and not
Yeah.
understand, and also
Yeah.
not even agree and choose.
Yeah.
I'm I still care for you. I'm still
Hmm.
here. You're still
Yeah.
a person I value. Like, those things aren't synonymous. And I'm like, if they are interconnected, then it's not a real relationship, right? Like, it's not
Oh.
those things that, you say are there, they're not
Yeah.
really there, right? If that means
Yes.
that because I don't understand you, like, everything else gets cut off. It's
Yeah.
transactional, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. You're
fake.
not in the same relationship.
Not at all. Not at all. And I'm
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, like, I don't necessarily read all the terms and conditions when I sign up for like new apps and stuff like that. And at the same time, I'm thinking, that most people aren't signing up for terms and conditions where they say, if you don't understand, like if I don't
Yeah.
understand you, that means I don't care about you, right?
Yeah.
If I don't
Yeah.
understand, I mean, I don't understand some things about me sometimes. So if
Exactly. We don't even understand ourselves most of the times.
like, there's this concept that it's called Jafari's window, and it's like a window pane. And I would share this with people because I think it just really it gives you a great framework or a big picture of like life and even just getting to a point of understanding yourself. And so Jahari's window is like 4 panes, and in each pane it represents something different.
Mm-hmm.
So one pane is the things that you know about yourself and other people also know about you. The second one is the things that you know about yourself that other people don't know about you. The
Mm-hmm.
third is the things that you can't see about you, but other people can see them about you.
Mm-hmm.
And then the fourth is the things that aren't ever revealed to anyone else or yourself about who you are.
Oh.
Because we're
Mm-hmm.
always growing and evolving and
Yes.
changing. And we're changing even if we don't want to change, right? Like
Yeah.
the not even like you don't even have to try to change and you'll change, right?
Yeah. Exactly. You're still changing.
Internally and externally.
Yeah.
And so like it just speaks to the fact that this is a journey and not a destination. Like you're
Mm-hmm.
never going to get to a place where you are 100% like I know all the depths and intricacies and every single thing there is to know about myself. Because if I'm always
Yeah.
evolving, I'm always discovering, and there's still
Yeah.
more to discover, right? Like I mean, come on. So,
Yes.
like,
Yes.
if we just look at it in that way, right, it gives a greater appreciation for the fact that I gained so much, probably confidence, relief when I gave myself permission to not have all the answers.
Mhm. Yeah.
I quickly got comfortable with the phrase, and it was so
Yes.
freeing. It was like, I'm not sure, but I'll get back to you on that one. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not sure,
Yeah.
but I probably know somebody who does, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not really certain, but I mean,
Yeah.
here's my thought.
Yeah.
um, it's just freeing. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know all the answers. I don't know all the, I mean, when we get into right and wrong, right, it's semantics, like what is right and what is wrong. Like, yes, morally, we know
Mm-hmm.
certain things are right and wrong. We know based on
Yeah.
law. But when it comes to individual decisions about our lives and our
Mm-hmm.
futures, like what is right and what is wrong? Like
Mm-hmm.
where do those standards and
Mm-hmm.
criteria come from? All internal.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah, it's again simple and complex. That's all I can say.
Yes. Simple and complex. Yeah.
Simple and in no way
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel for
Yeah.
my husband sometimes. I'm like, man, like, are you okay? Are you okay? Oh goodness, so yeah.
He probably is now that you went to the batting cages together.
I bet he is. Like, I gave him his props.
Yes.
I was like, you're a pretty good teacher. And,
Yeah, exactly.
let's just be honest. There are still times that I will overthink things. And I'm like, oh my gosh, no, I don't think I'm gonna. And I'm like, so what
Yeah.
if I fail? Like, so what if I don't hit the
Yes.
ball? Like, I got
Exactly.
there, I
Yeah.
tried, it was fun, I laughed at myself.
Yeah.
The only stipulation I gave to him was like, just don't laugh at me too hysterically. Like, it doesn't need to be over the top. Just like, haha, laugh and then like, just let it be.
Yeah.
Right? But yeah,
It's a
you
good
know,
stipulation. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it made me
So
feel good.
yeah. So last couple of questions for you. One is where can people find you?
Sure. So one, I'm just gonna be fully honest and say like I've got to get back into my social media. I used to be on it a lot, but not so much, right? But so you can find me on Instagram at Amanda Gilchrist at LPC underscore LPC. And or you can also find me on LinkedIn, Amanda Gilchrist. I also am on Facebook as well. I don't do Facebook as much, but Amanda
Um,
Gilchrist still share some different things, some insights. I'm picking back up on doing it. I will say I'm entering a newer season in my life, and you guys know about it. And so I'm finding my flow in that new season. And now I finally am starting to have the creative bandwidth and space to really start sharing again. And then, if you're curious about what I do, because of course, I'm in business with Matt Lay, who was also a guest on here previously.
Yes.
We co-founded IPN Advisors together. And so that's also why, for me, this work that we're doing is so important. So we do work with organizations and leaders just at their inflection points, right? At the points where things are shifting and you're not exactly sure how or what to do or why, but I can tell you what, if you focus on the people side, focus on the people, right? With the systems and the processes, the organizational health and operational health. You can't have one without the other, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we are doing that work together now. And my hope is that we are able to support the development of a lot healthier workplaces that actually have really good impact on people's mental health, right? And impact on the way that they make their impact on the world. For if we have to spend a lot of time there, why not? Let it be a place that you feel valued and seen and heard and understood. And you also get to be a human who also gets to produce things that impact other people's lives, right?
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Excellent.
IPNadvisors.com, I think, yeah.
Perfect. And lastly, what's your definition of authenticity?
Ooh,
Talk about defining.
yes.
Something that's really hard to define.
Yes. Interesting enough, I've this is kind of a journey for me a little bit. And I think I actually said at the beginning, I said, just be. And it's because we are human beings, right? Think about, like, names mean things. We're human beings, not doings. And so many times you find that we're doing first and not being, right? Yes. And so behind that just be, it's present, intentional, impactful, and boundary. All right, because presence is the greatest gift that you can give anyone, including yourself.
Yeah.
Intention is like the foundation for all of these things, because the world is set up to constantly distract us. And so it's so important to know where you want to go, or even big picture, just where you're headed, and make the small decisions with intention that get you in that direction, like get you headed towards that direction. Impactful, because I'm like, we are all placed on this earth for purpose, right? Like there's definitely something more to life than just, being born, growing up, working, and paying taxes and dying, right? Like there's so much more.
Hopefully.
Right? Like, what's the thing that you want, the gift that you already have, the story you have to tell that impacts the world. And when I say the world, it could be one person, it could be a million people. And of the people you impact, you may never know all of their stories. You may never know how many people you impacted just by smiling at them, even if you don't know them. And then that final one is boundary, which is like the thing I struggled with. Most of us struggle with, because we feel like we have to, but it's the boundaries are about safety, security, and respect of yourself. And so the better that you get at, like, learning what it means to hold the line for yourself in safety and security and respect, the better you get at relationships with other people, and the easier it is to know who's supposed to be part of your life and who's not. So everybody will be part of your life when you're giving them everything you want at the cost of your sanity and your well-being and everything else in between. But when you're taking care of yourself, when you are the very best version of yourself and you respect yourself, who's around then, right? Because there are a lot of us who love the not so taken care of version of other people. What does it mean they are taking care of themselves? So that's, for me, that's what authenticity looks like. It's just like knowing what you need for safety, security, and holding the line, being impactful, being present, being intentional. That's it for me.
I like that definition.
Took me a long time to get it. Was different things. It's almost to a place in my life where I thought I was being authentic, and really, I had just gotten really good at being the version that I thought other people wanted me to be. And that was a very, very hard, wall to run up against.
That could be a whole podcast episode.
Yeah.
Oh yes, oh yes. Oh, and then the turmoil that it causes in your life when you start showing up authentically, because everybody's like, "You're just this and that and the third," and I'm like, "I don't know. I'm just, I'm not trying."
Yeah.
You guys are.
Well, thank you, Amanda.
Thank you. You all are amazing, and I'm always excited when I meet people who just want to impact the world, right? Who want to focus on people first, because I mean, the world is the world because of all the people that are in it.
Exist. Yes.
And so call me in to have a conversation anytime. I'll probably talk your ear off.
We will. I'm sure we will. I'm sure Matt's waiting too. So
listen, Matt's like, "Oh, Amanda, I'm the one who talks a lot." I'm like, actually, I do talk a lot. It's just that, I just kind of ebb and flow sometimes. It's just, sometimes I'm just there and present, and then others.
Presence.
Yeah.
It's about presence.
Yeah. That's presence. That's it. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for listening.